Sometimes couples see me when the relationship is just fine. The challenge is they're trying to make a decision. And the process of making a decision has become difficult for them, not because there's anything wrong with the relationship, more because the stress that they're feeling is getting in the way. Like there are decision making tools for couples and how to come to a compromise. Like from a Gottman lens, we can go from the tool of listening for understanding using gentle startups and gentle listening to say the art of compromise. That's a good tool to come to a decision. However, the problem isn't the tool. The problem is actually the emotional load. The problem is the cognitive strain. The problem is that the nervous system is kind of pinging, and now there's a kink in the think, and they can't come to a decision. So they come and see me to try to help them. My name is Rick from rickgrundytherapy.com. One of the things I help couples to understand is the decision itself sometimes isn't the problem. The emotional load is the problem. They need help calming down the emotional temperature in the relationship. And so there are 5 ideas that I have that I explain to couples to help calm down the emotions first, so that then when the emotions are calmer, they'll have better conversations. The first idea of how to make big decisions by calming down that emotional load actually comes more from my marriage than it does from psychotherapy. And yes, it's a psychological principle, but this is also lived experience. Early in my marriage, my wife and I, we had some crises, a number of crises. I don't know what the plural for that word is, early in our marriage, and we had to choose together how it is that we were going to navigate that. And we discovered very quickly that if we made a decision too soon, we would have to make another decision very, very quickly. And then money would be piling up on top of money as we tried to pay our way out of some of our problems. That did not work for us. So we came up with this phrase called no sudden movements. And we still use that phrase, and it served us well for 25 years of marriage. No sudden movements is a way to capture this idea. Urgency is a really bad motivator for decision making, because when we feel that something is urgent and we're compelled to make a decision right away, it actually turns off the best parts of our thinking brain. And we tend to make this gut reaction move. We tend to, like, we're in fight mode or flee mode or freeze mode. And then that's a horrible way of making a decision. So, one of the best ways to make a decision is first to choose not to decide. Choose to take a step back. No sudden movements. People could also say, let the dust settle, take a break, let it cook, something like that. Just don't decide right away. Take a break, allow the nervous system to calm down together. The next idea is to use a decision matrix. And a decision matrix goes by a number of different titles. And you'll find it in psychology. You'll also find it in spiritual formation. You'll find it a bunch of different places. I'm just here going to call it a decision matrix. And I'm going to show you a simple picture of that. So as you see on the chart here, along the top of the chart, first of all, you identify what decision you're trying to make, the decision or change that you're evaluating. And then along the left column, you see choosing yes or choosing no. Should I spend my money on fast food? Yes or no? And then along the top of the row there, you see benefits and gains versus costs and risks. Should I go and spend my money on fast food? Yes. What's the benefit and the gain of that? Well, the benefit is that I don't have to spend time cooking and I can get back to work right away. What's the cost or risk? It's actually quite expensive to go for fast food. Okay. What if I say no? What are the benefits and gains of saying no? My money stays in my account. What are the costs and risks? Well, it means that there's quite a bit of delay before I get back to work. And that's just a silly example. But the idea is that when you put something in front of you on the table, like a piece of paper where you do this, the tension is no longer felt in the relationship. But the tension then is put in front of the relationship, where instead of people feeling it like, oh, is this a tension between us? Like, no, this is a tension in front of us that both of us are weighing in on, so we can clearly see the weight of which way that we're going. Another idea is called worst, best, and most likely. And if you were looking at this through a CBT lens, we might call this decastrovization. What? Yeah. I love this little tool. It's like 3 questions that exist also inside of something called Socratic questioning. So you would imagine together as a couple or you as an individual, what is the very worst thing that can happen? Just get it out. Just air those fears. Fears are really contagious. When a couple can voice their fears to each other and get it out, the underlying fear is no longer contagious because you've named it. You now understand what the root of the fear is. And after you get the fear out and you stop the contagion of fear, then you begin to talk about what is the very best outcome. Like make this thing like, I don't know, sprout wings and like lay golden eggs or something, like with the very best case scenario. And then end off on what's the most likely outcome to happen. And this does actually calm the nervous system a little bit when you start to give yourselves a reality check and realize that maybe this thing that we have to decide on isn't quite as urgent as we had thought it was. The next idea is to go and play together. Sometimes what happens is when we are stressed out because we've got to make this really important decision, we've got to make it very quickly. There are parts of our brain and parts of our memory that are completely turned off. We forget about how much we love each other. Couples forget that. Couples forget what they enjoy about each other. For couples forget all the fun times. The only thing that's in their memory and in their working memory right at that moment is a very big decision, how bad things could be. If you take a step away from that, let it cook a little bit, take a step away from that and just go have fun together. What happens is that it reduces tension inside. Our nervous system quiets down and it restarts areas in our brain that we really want to be present, really want to be turned on. We want to make a decision. Going and having fun together is an awesome way of taking the stress out. So your brains show up a little bit better so that you can think clearly. And finally, the fifth idea that helps couples to take the stress out of things so that they can make a decision together is use couple grounding or distraction. Couple grounding. So one of the grounding techniques that I love it for myself, and I also like to encourage clients to do this because it sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. A lot of clients like this. I'm going to call it 6 breaths a second. Again, this is another thing that has a few different names. 6 breaths a minute. Sorry, not a second. That would be crazy. 6 breaths a minute. You inhale for 5. You exhale for 5. You inhale for 5. You exhale for 5. A single breath takes 10 seconds. You can only do that 6 times in a minute, 6 breaths a minute. So that's why I've landed on that title. When you do it with a partner, something wonderful happens. We tend to co-regulate. Okay. So even though I'm supposed to be responsible for my own emotions, and I am responsible for my own emotions, emotions are contagious. If I see you having an emotion, that will tend to influence me to copy that and have that emotion along with you. Emotions are contagious. We co-regulate. When a couple grounds together, when they hold hands, and when they do this breathing technique together, the physical contact and also the act of breathing together really helps both people calm down together. And this is really helpful even for couples that are beginning to go downstairs or beginning to get a little escalated. If you pause a conversation, instead of continue the conversation, say, call it out. I think we're getting escalated. I think we're getting downstairs. Just take a moment to breathe together and just hold hands, look down at the floor, breathe in, 5 seconds, breathe out, 5 seconds, breathe in, 5 seconds, breathe out, 5 seconds, and check in with each other. How are we doing? We still escalated? Are we still nervous? Or our brains back and we think clearly? Studies have shown that just the act of physical touch really helps the nervous system to quiet down. So making big decisions can really throw a wrench into an otherwise great relationship. Because when we begin to feel the urgency of having to come up with a plan or make a choice, then we forget the important things about the relationship, and we actually feel alone. We feel isolated. So let's turn that part off. Let's calm down the nervous system. So if you think that I can help you with that, if you are a couple that has a great relationship and yet you are facing a decision right now that you need some help with, and it's it's causing some tension in the relationship, reach out. We can set up a free consult. You can find me at rickgrundytherapy.com. I'm Rick from rickgrundytherapy.com. And until next time, you rock.